let's introduce Dave. Dave has been a huge part of since I've jumped on of FECO Playbook. I mean, he was here on FECO Playbook before I was. Um, I have learned so much from him. Part of the questions that we've asked along the way came from him. There's been a lot of influence. So I just want to say thank you personally for sharing your story and using your story. To us, that's the ultimate goal is to have the warriors step up and share their stories to empower other patients in the same fight. So thank you. In our book, you're a rock star.
Well put. Well, I can't be more excited to introduce not only a friend of mine, but one of our first patients at FECO Playbook, Dave Evans. Dave was a neighbor of mine in Austin, and he did this thing the right way. And what we're trying to emphasize to people is to start on this program early. Don't wait till the doctor says you have stage 4 and you need to go get your affairs in order, is where most people get acquainted with cannabis and alternative medicines because they're like, oh my God, they gave up on me. Now what do I do? Start this program day one. Dave is an example of what happens if you do start at day one. And we're going to get into exactly what happened. So yeah. I'm getting a little teary-eyed because it is it's a great result. So Dave, tell us a little bit about your diagnosis.
So for me, the diagnosis came as a surprise. I was 66 years old. Basically, long story short, basically healthy whole life. And one day I'm having trouble urinating, like literally with just a couple of hours notice from being normal to, hey, I can't urinate, what's going on? And I went like that for a few days and then realized, talking to my doctor, that not being able to urinate was a big problem. I knew from Boy Scouts that if your urine is not yellow, it's not clear, you're not drinking enough fluid, but we'd really never covered the topic of what if you can't urinate, right? And so this is a surprise to me. So I go to the doctor, and on inspection, it turns out that I had renal failure. Both kidneys had shut down, and that was kind of the start of it. And so, of course, the question was why, right? So we initially went to work on that. A couple of days, there was a dialysis session, some things like that to just get me stabilized. And then with blood tests and things like that, we determined that what I actually had was lymphoma. And the lymphoma had overrun my kidneys and that sort of thing and created this whole chain reaction. And bottom line was I had gone in, just about a week's period of time from healthy, active adult to stage 5 double renal failure, stage 4 lymphoma, and was in the hospital. So it was, so mentally it was quite a shock. And that's the thing that I want people to really keep in mind, because one of the huge strengths of this, and I think one of the things that's maybe overlooked, is the degree to which participation in your treatment, participation in your healthcare, and participation in this actively, particularly in the resolution of a disease like this, how empowering that is. And as you turn on your inner empowerment, right, and you start to reach those things that maybe you haven't accessed in a while, you discover whole new sets of tools when it comes to fighting things, and that is absolutely part of the fight here. So with that diagnosis, we kind of moved forward, and I did both a combination of medical treatment, first in Texas and then at Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, followed the instructions that I was supposed to do, and at the same time, and with the endorsement of all of my doctors, stepped into a FECO program with James and with FECO. And it was really that experience that drove me to, okay, this is a story that needs to be shared, and so on. Not because it's me or anything like that, but because I think, like so many people, when we hear cancer, we hear death sentence. And since this, what I've realized is, first off, there's a lot more people with this than I realized. And second, it's not a death sentence at all. It's a life sentence. One of the things that I wrote in my sort of longer version of the story was this cancer was truly a gift, because it enabled me to access myself in ways that I'd just never really done. When you're faced with a fight where it's either you win or you're not going to be here, you find another gear and you step into that. So with that, as the background, I think that the rest of this now will make a lot more
Yeah,
sense.
cool. And one thing Jamie always says is that you are not alone, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
Absolutely not alone. I'm over here tearing up too.
so let's talk about the FECO.
And can I just time out 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
Dave, look at your hair.
Yeah, I've still got,
Right.
I'm in the curly stage now.
Yeah.
But it's all coming back. It's like, everything's really good.
Yeah, when Eric's hair came back and it came all, he had like a fro, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am literally 3 months past my last treatment right
Wow, healthy. He's followed protocol. He hasn't, no alcohol, no sugar,
alcohol, no
eating
sugar,
really healthy,
so, yeah.
still following the plan and super involved in it.
Yeah.
But, FECO was a big part of it too. And that's what I was talking about earlier is starting early, right? If you do have cancer, don't wait till the stage 4 diagnosis, which is crazy. Why do people stage people to basically tell them when they're going to die? That's the doctors don't have that power, and they really don't have the power to save us either in a lot of cases. And because the medicine that they should be using, they can't use because they're trained to not use it. And if they do use it, they get in trouble. So this is what we're dealing with. So Dave, tell us a little bit about, I introduced Dave to FECO. And I basically got him on it even before he started treatment, any kind of Western medicine treatment, which was awesome and where it should be. So Dave, tell us a little bit about it. He was kind of a rookie to it. And so we kind of did what we could do to start it slow. And how was your experience with it?
Yeah, it was a little odd at first, both the formulation and things like that. Took a little getting used to, but once I was comfortable with it, I did experience a couple times of taking maybe a little bit too much. And I'm kind of a lightweight, and it's it is important that you take the time to understand your particular dosing requirements and things like that, so that you're comfortable with this, right? We don't want to be creating anxiety when we're trying to treat anxiety and things like that. And so, having somebody and having a program like the FECO Playbook be able to sort of guide you through that and what to expect. And as you experience it, okay, I can a little bit less, a little bit more, I can drink some orange juice, I can use CBD, I can use something else to sort of mitigate this. And you find a really nice balance. Throughout my treatment, I was working basically full time. So I do a lot of conference calls, I do software development, things like that. Was working. Thankfully, there's Zoom background, so people didn't see all of the rigs that were behind me at Mayo on the conference calls. That tends to freak people out. But I was there, and all of this stuff, by the way, it really plays into the strength that I was able to find, both through the support of my partner Debbie. She was absolutely huge. So your home situation and your family situation, all that, these things are really important when you're in a fight or situation like this. But being able to sort of guide yourself through that, and having the mental focus during the day of productive work, and with FECO and things like that, having an appetite, being able to sleep, being comfortable, those kinds of things. Not only do they make your life more pleasant in what is, for most people, chemo is not a pleasant experience, right?
Poison.
I was able to go through that with literally no nausea, very few issues, and at home in between the hospital sessions, had a very good quality of life. There'd be a rough day here and there. It's like, I'm not gonna lie about that. But at the same time, for the most part, it was just just work, stay focused, do the things that I'm supposed to do, focus on the dietary changes, which we'll get into in a minute here. And
Dave always mentioned that from the very beginning.
Going.
He mentioned from the very beginning that it's not about saving your life, it's about making your life better.
Exactly.
And it's really one step at a time, and that's exactly what you focus on. And if you do that, then you will save your life, is what it leads to.
The bottom line here is, none of us know how long we're going to be here. So let's make the best of what we have while we're here. And that's exactly what this does. When you find yourself in these adverse situations, if there's things that can make you more comfortable, that can help things and so on, not only does it improve your quality of life during that, but it actually improves your odds of coming out of it in a very positive way.
So you mentioned when you did too much, some people refer to that as high AF, and now, but the good thing is you're not going to die. Nobody's ever died from overdose of cannabis, you know what I mean?
That's right, that's right.
And so what did you do to what you referred to as de-stonify?
So, yeah, it's I mean things like orange juice, CBD, things that will you know, sort of co-bind and whatnot that just help mitigate that. And then the biggest thing is just learning. It's like because the effect. I mean, how long does the effect last? You know, 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, something like that. It's like, so you just try it again the next day and do a little bit less, you know, and sort of work it out. And in a very quick period, very short period of time, you're able to get to the dosing level that works for you, given whatever your schedule happens to be.
Yeah, but that's cool. That's the neat part about it is it's like self analysis and dosage for what your body can take, instead of what Western medicine does is just says take one pill for everybody. Everybody gets the same pill.
That's right.
And even somebody that weighs 90 pounds and somebody weighs 250 pounds, same pill. To me, that doesn't make a ton of sense, you know. So
the other thing we talked earlier about, we'll jump into diet here.
Yeah.
I think one of the other nice benefits of FECO, and particularly the way that I was using it, because I would not use it during the day. I would use it during the night. During the day, I had a slightly different blend, so that I wasn't walking around stoned all day. The intermittent fasting is actually helped by FECO at night, because, you know, if I'm sleeping for 8 or 10 hours, I'm not hungry or snacking during that time, right? So I've got a big part of the intermittent fasting kind of already in the bag, and then all I need is the discipline to go from, you know, we try to eat somewhere around 7 p.m., something like that, and then we usually get up at around 6 a.m., 7 a.m., something like that. So we've got this 12-hour window where if we can just avoid snacking during that, well, if I'm sleeping during part of it, that part's really easy, and then you just, you know, there is some discipline here in changing diet, if we want to talk about that next.
It really is. Yeah, dietary changes are probably the biggest thing. Dave bought into it right away. I think it comes back to the caregiver part of the world. If you don't have a caregiver, the FECO Playbook kind of is your caregiver. But you need somebody to help you do it. You know, you really need that person with Playbook. And what did you do with I mean, how did you eat before, and then now what did you do, you know, initially when we talked about quitting sugar and doing stuff like that?
Yeah, so a couple things on that. On the caregiver piece, if I had looked at this going forward, I would have pictured myself going through this alone, right? Because that's the kind of person that I am, right? I've got that sort of like I'll do it myself kind of makeup. Once this hit, not only was I, you know, basically debilitated for the first couple weeks while we figured out what was going on, but the shock of all this, it made it really clear there's no way you go through this alone. Having a strong caregiver, and I was fortunate to have one, but having a strong caregiver is extremely important. Not only to help me stay on track, but to help navigate the healthcare system. I had an absolutely fantastic experience with my health insurer, with Cigna. They assigned somebody to my case. They called me every week, made sure that I was comfortable. They made sure that I knew that my plan covered everything that was about to happen to me, and that I didn't have to worry about anything. And they said that multiple times. They said, we don't want you worrying about anything while you're trying to navigate through this. So that kind of advocacy, and then, you know, as I said, Debbie as a you know, personal caregiver, it was just amazing, absolutely amazing to have that. On the diet, prior to doing this, I always thought I ate pretty healthy, right? But let me define what healthy means, right? Healthy to me meant I could pronounce most of what was in it, with a few exceptions, as you'll see in a minute. It was all name brand stuff. There was no fast food. You know, I didn't eat a lot of Snickers bars, but I did eat them, right? So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. It's like, yeah, I didn't eat fast food, but I did everything else wrong. You know, it's like all the stuff that we like to eat and do. And
you enjoyed life, basically.
My 5-hour energies, and, you know, 2 or 3 Red Bulls, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And it's and you think you're doing fine, because it's like, you know, I'm awake, I'm healthy, I'm going to the gym, it's like everything's good. It's like, no, that it really doesn't work that way.
Including alcohol and everything.
Yeah,
you're doing there, right?
and right, exactly. And so since this, what Debbie and I have done is really focused on healthy things. We followed Jack's diet, Jack's smoothie diet. You know, you just heard from Jack Hungle a minute ago. Jack's smoothie diet, the other things that are available in the FECO Playbook, reducing sugar, intermittent fasting, doing some of these things, and just really becoming mindful about what we're eating and why, and making sure that I really like that phrase that I heard this morning. You know, if you can't pick it, catch it, or shoot it, don't eat it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. When you changed to intermittent fasting, how did that affect your pain levels? Just for any of the other patients out here are wondering, like, is that was changing your diet alone a pain reliever for you?
No, the pain levels, no, but I mean, I need to preface that my pain level, first off, my pain tolerance is very high. Pain levels, other than a couple of mechanical issues associated with the kidney stuff that had happened, there really was not a lot of pain. But what there were feelings of discomfort, of just unease, of, you know, maybe mild nausea, things like that, where, you know, you're just aware that your body is in a fight that it hasn't been in before, and you're doing something that you're not used to doing, right? It's like it's sort of that kind of thing. What the intermittent fasting really did, for people that have experienced it, when you have a proper meal, you know, not too much, the right amount of food and so on, and you have that feeling a few hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, you know, later, something like that, as you're working, where your body really starts to perform in a superior way, it really starts to work well. Intermittent fasting helps bring on that feeling. And it was noticeable. Like I don't know how to describe it other than to say I was clearer, more energetic, and this is in a state of very low energy. Obviously, as my blood cells, my hemoglobin's being hammered, my energy levels are in the tank, right? And they should be very high, right? They're normally very high. But with the intermittent fasting, it really helped to sort of clarify, like, just what I felt like, as opposed to just, you know, you wake up after a heavy meal the next day and you're kind of like, whoa. I never felt like that, which was another big plus. Yeah,
like what Chip was talking about is, you know, you're either in fight or flight, you know, and then, and if you're chilling and past that 5 hour window, you're fighting, and at that point, which is great, you know, you're fighting disease, you're basically getting into ketosis, and Chip explained it a lot better than I can, but that's great that you did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, jumping into supplements, tell us a little bit about what you were doing before, and then kind of what added to this equation.
Yeah, so the thing that we've done with supplements, with vitamins and things like that, is made sure that given the various dietary changes, given the things that chemo and stuff was doing to my body, that we were maintaining electrolyte levels, nutrient levels, you know, all these kinds of things that your body really needs to have, regardless of what's going on, especially when it's working as hard as it is to do the things that it's doing, and working as hard as it is in response to what's happening to it, right? When you think about what chemo is actually doing to you. I never realized what some of things like methotrexate actually do to you. It's kind of terrifying.
It's poison.
It's absolutely. I mean, it's literally telling your DNA stop replicating. When I did 2 different types of treatments, and in the methotrexate treatment, you know, your body literally is instructed to stop. And then they give you a rescue drug a couple, you know, like 24 hours or so later. I asked them what would happen if I didn't get the rescue drug, and they said, yeah, you don't really even want to think about that.
Yeah, wow.
It's not good. So your body's actually is obviously taking quite a pounding, and to use the supplements and things like that, the way that they're guided and so on, I think is really good. There may be some challenges with some of the supplements. For the particular chemo regimen that I was on, which was a dose-adjusted our EPOC protocol, Azac T, for example, is contraindicated because of one of the chemicals that's in that. So you do have to balance things a little bit, but you can absolutely you know, look at the supplements as ways of making sure that you're getting all the things that you need, and that your body's in balance, along with just the dietary changes that kind of keep it that way.
Yeah.
And then remember, I mean, what's happening to your body when you're in chemo, this is not normal time, right? So you may have to do some things that seem, well, it isn't really what I would do normally, but, well, that isn't a normal time in the first place.
And normal eating doesn't provide as much supplement that you need, but when you start eating healthier, you immediately start getting more supplements at that point, which is nice. Yeah. And I personally have increased my supplement intake doing things like boron and different things like that I didn't realize that,
Yeah.
they took out of our food supply years ago for no reason at all, but things that really keep us healthy, let our body keep our immune system strong. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about.
And on the on the supplements and diet, I think one of the good indicators was when this first happened. So my body weight is normally 100. I'm 6 feet tall. My body weight's 185, and always has been. When I was unable to urinate, my weight shot up to 205 within just a period of days, right? Because obviously I'm retaining 100% of my fluid. As soon as that was fixed and I was hospitalized, my body weight dropped to 173 in, maybe 5 or 6 days. So you can imagine, me changing 25 pounds, right? It's like, it's pretty scary. With FECO and the restoration of my appetite, of being able to sleep and so on, I was able to bring my eating back to where it should be, brought my weight back to anywhere between 180 and 185 pounds, and it stayed there for the entire
that's awesome.
Entire treatment regimen.
That's a huge thing.
It never worked. And I weigh 183 right now, which is exactly what I'm supposed to weigh. Right.
Beautiful. Well, good deal. We're coming to the end of this up, and this is great. We could go on forever, but let's talk about toxins real quick. You probably didn't have a ton of toxins in your life. I know how you live.
Well, it's funny because toxins take on various roles. There's, you can eat poison, right? And we all recognize, okay, so that's a toxin. You can be in a bad job. You can be in a bad relationship. You can have a bad view of yourself. You can live in, a stressful environment. Those are all toxins, right?
Financial toxins,
all this kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. So, having your things in order and taking the time to think through things like that, and what's good for me, what isn't, and making sure that I'm making those kinds of choices. All of that stuff really matters too, because all of this internal stuff, right?
Get your gut in order.
None of this is helping you win, right? So you definitely want that minimized.
Right on. Well, good, Dave. Well, after all said and done, Dave's a rock star. He did what we do, Warriors.
You guys are FECO's. You guys are the rock stars. You and Debbie, my miracle number one.
Yeah,
Debbie.
no, and he's proven that his caregiver is a huge part of it. FECO, get there early. Just get there. I recommend getting there early. Don't ever think it's too late to start. More than anything, we're all going to die, and it doesn't hurt your exit. For sure, including psilocybin is another great opportunity for that. I'm sure Jack Kungle at his time will be able to add to the psilocybin exit strategy. And once again, Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love you, man. And by the way, your shirt is very appropriate for the event that we're at. I just noticed that.
Thank you very much for your bravery, and we appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your story.
Amy, thank you.
I still look forward to working with you more. So, this isn't the end of me and you talking for sure.
The thing is that Dave is helping us with the playbook. He's our project coordinator. I don't know if he knows it yet, but he is our project coordinator.
For those of you guys who are watching, our next session will start here in just a couple of minutes. So that one would be with Jack.